In a true dance of light and shadow, July brings a number of exciting developments. There are positive trines between planets in Cancer and planets in Pisces, and more challenging yet educational, eye-opening, and important oppositions between the planets in Leo and the Pluto in Aquarius. Will it be easy? Will it be challenging? Let's find out and break down the most important transits for all 12 signs. My name is Anastasia. I'm a traditional Western astrologer specializing in natal, relationship, and predictive readings. I create content for you guys. I do consultations. If you like my work and you want to show your support, please take a few seconds of your time to leave me a like or a comment, subscribe, and press the notification bell. Watch another one of my videos. All of that helps bring views my way, helps me grow, encourages me to bring more content to you. It's a win-win. Additionally, you can show your appreciation and say thank you by buying me a coffee or tea or a piece of cake. I really appreciate that, and I appreciate all of you who have taken advantage of that option. Before we dive in, if you have important questions, you want to understand yourself better, you're craving guidance, you can book a reading on my website, anastasiadoesastrology.com. There are relationship, predictive, natal chart readings. There is also a monthly subscription where I send you breakdowns of your unique transits at the start of every month, or we have an in-person monthly consultation. Check out my subscriptions for that. And on my website in the shop section, you can find a variety of candles and oils I create. I wanted to create these to help myself, to deal with stresses of life, to deal with romantic tensions, and I am happy to offer them to you, sort of try it and test it on myself and brought over your way. I'd like to highlight Moon in Cancer too. This is my favorite. It's already, that's actually the one I've been using quite a lot. So I was like, this is too light. But Moon in Cancer 2, similarly to Moon in Cancer 1, which was created in 2023 and was sold out pretty fast, is all about peace, calm, manifestation, relaxation, and support, right? It can bring ease into your life, it can help relax you, it can soothe you, and help you get through more difficult times. In July specifically, we're going to have a bunch of Pluto oppositions, so lighting up this candle could be a great way of dealing with those energies. I highly recommend my Moon in Cancer 2 candle for Cancer risings, Capricorn risings, Pisces risings, anyone born with their moon in Capricorn or Scorpio. If your moon is in the 6th, 8th, or 12th houses, if it's in a square or opposition, even conjunction to Saturn, this would be a great choice. Additionally, if you're looking for some of the relationship support, I have Venusian candles. Specifically, this is Venus in Libra 2. As well, the first edition was sold out. This one is from 2023, and this can help create harmony in your relationships, bring creative inspiration, alignment, and agreement in your life. So thank you for listening. Let's talk about July 2024. How crazy is that? I feel like New Year's just happened recently. So in July, we have a lot of action in Cancer, right? We got Cancer season started on June 20th. At the start of July, the Sun is in Cancer, Venus is in Cancer, Mercury is here until July 2nd. We also get the new moon in Cancer. So the energy is quite emotional, sensitive. We're driven by our need for comfort, security, connection, loyalty. From pretty early on, actually, that starts to shift a little bit as Mercury enters Leo. But of course, until the Sun is in Cancer, until July 22nd, all of the planets in Leo will be ruled by that Sun in Cancer. So Cancerian, emotionally sensitive, emotionally aware, deep feeling energy stays present throughout the entire month. But we do start to notice a bit more of like royal, regal, look at me, attention-seeking energy as planets one by one start to shift into Leo. And I will go chronologically as I always do, and we'll break it down sort of in that way, but I'd like to give you a quick summary. So planets in Leo will one by one oppose Pluto. Specific dates to watch out for: July 3rd, 12th, and 23rd. And those might be the more challenging ones because when planets in Leo, our ego opposes Pluto, it's a very tumultuous sort of revolutionary energy, especially because Pluto is in Aquarius. So certain interactions, certain encounters can test you and can encourage you to release something outdated, but it's not likely to be pleasant because it's in opposition. From July 25th, we get Mercury entering Virgo. Mercury will stay here until August 14th. It will retrograde in early August, but Mercury in Virgo for the period between July 25th and August 5th will give us kind of very analytical, precise speech, clear mind, and empowered thinking. Mars is in Taurus until July 20th. Mars is in its detriment in Taurus, so it's a bit weakened, and it may struggle asserting oneself, may struggle sort of fighting, and we might avoid confrontation as a rule. It will conjoin Uranus on July 15th, which suggests breakthroughs, opportunities to free yourself from old patterns, old relationships, old things. Mars enters Gemini on July 20th. We'll stay here until September 4th. We'll be hanging out with Jupiter. Mars in Gemini is a lot more intellectual and curious and sort of faster thinking, has like multiple interests and multiple can struggle with choosing a direction, right? But it's not afraid of taking action, or it's not afraid of getting in conflict, although it might use sort of versatility and fluidity of the mind to get out of those conflicts. And we also have, Saturn stationed retrograde in late June, Neptune stations retrograde at the start of the month. So we also have a decent amount of retrogrades happening and upcoming with Mercury going retrograde. Okay, let's take a look at the month chronologically and give you some tips. July 2nd, Neptune goes retrograde. Neptune stays retrograde until December 7th, 2024. There will be a separate video about Saturn and Neptune retrograde. But Neptune retrograde is the time when we are examining our dreams from illusions, and we are encouraged to let go of certain idealistic, delusional ideas and potentially choose the ones that are real, choose the ones that are attainable, and invest into those. Same day, Mercury trines Neptune, helping us communicate with sensitivity, make amends, write poetry and music. Not so good for sort of, fine print and doing focused detailed work, because you might lose the details. Mercury enters Leo on July 2nd and until July 25th. Our speech is grand, confident, charismatic. We might talk about ourselves a little bit more, but we're also a lot more humorous and louder, more dramatic, and we tell stories that are likely to be very personal. Venus trines Saturn as well on July 2nd, which is really great for relationship growth, commitment, moving a relationship forward, achieving creative mastery. You might enjoy working on projects that you feel, attuned to, you feel inspired to pursue. Venus and Saturn together could be like really great for improving something in your house, or like working on old items, right? Like taking old fashion and turning it into a new sort of, like taking a few pieces of old clothing your parents used to wear and turning them into like something fashionable right now. On July 3rd, Mercury opposes Pluto. So this is what I was talking about, right? Like we get three parts of this. There's July 3rd, Mercury opposite Pluto. There's July 12th, Venus opposite Pluto, and July 23rd, Sun opposite Pluto. And they all tell the same kind of story. So on July 3rd, as Mercury opposes Pluto, you may run into battles of the mind and ideas, maybe some kind of opposition to your thinking, some type of power struggles. This is great for like breakthroughs in therapy, focusing on research, writing, talking about things that are maybe a little bit, shadowy and difficult to talk about. But it could be like, I would suggest that you watch out for obsessive thinking, for trying to manipulate others, manipulate outcomes, for trying to control things, or sort of, trying to push your agenda too hard. On July 5th, we have the new moon in Cancer, the same day as Mars sextiles Saturn. I quite like this. The new moon in Cancer is all about fertility, growth, planting seeds, nurturing something, committing to something. And Mars in a sextile to Saturn gives us patience, determination, and endurance to succeed. So that's a very lovely signature, I think, around this time. July 8th is a really nice day. We have Venus sextiling Uranus, beautiful for experimentation romantically and creatively. You may encounter someone you wouldn't normally go for, start a fast romance with someone. Mercury also sextiles Jupiter, which is helpful for quick thinking, thinking about the future, making plans, starting studies, going on a trip. Maybe it's an opportunity for you to travel with your significant other or travel somewhere you find fun. July 10th, Sun trines Saturn. So, we had a little bit of a challenging energy between the Sun, Venus, and Mercury and Saturn in June. So if you've dealt with any roadblocks, frustrations, had to put your plans on hold, Sun trining Saturn on the 10th of July could be very supportive. And maybe the time when you get answers, maybe the time when you get recognition, or the time you recommit to something and approach it with like seriousness and determination. July 11th, Venus trines Neptune, which is very romantic, imaginative, inspired, great for connecting with others, helping people, doing sort of altruistic things. And then Venus enters Leo until August 4th. Between July 11th and August 4th, Venus will be in Leo. Venus in Leo is big, grand, playful. We want to be seen. We want to be known for our style. So expect a lot more. You might feel like posting a lot more on social media. You might feel like sharing your outfits with people, getting sort of, like style checks and things like that. You might expect your partners to give you more compliments and to kind of acknowledge you. And this is great, but sometimes this could be challenging, right? Or this can be sort of like contradictory to what the relationship is working on, or what the kind of larger purpose is. Like your desire for attention might be at odds with something. So on July 12th, Venus opposes Pluto. And this might be the time when you are dealing with a little bit of power struggles, dark feelings, obsessions coming to the surface. Similar energy to July 3rd when Mercury opposed Pluto. But here it's like, I think, there's opportunities here to be honest about what you want in a relationship. And if the partner or, your friend or your colleagues, some kind of ally, is not giving you what you seek or what's important to you, there is an opportunity here to set the record straight and part ways if you feel like this relationship is not fulfilling. Alternatively, Venus opposite Pluto can reveal the shadows of your desires and can encourage you to let something go, to transform something that doesn't serve you anymore, potentially. July 15th, Mars conjoins Uranus. This is a big deal. We get this about once every 2 years. So the last time we had this was, sorry, I feel like my eyeliner it's so hot outside that I don't even know if it's like staying in place. I think it is. If my eyeliner is running, it's just because it's crazy hot and I'm right by the window, so basically outside. But July 15th, Mars conjoins Uranus. This is a once in 2 years transit. Last time we had this happen was August 1st, 2022. Mars conjunct Uranus is a strong desire to break away from the norm. On the positive, this could be very eye-opening, very exciting. You can experiment in the bedroom, you can experiment with your creative projects, you can sort of create opportunities for yourself. On the negative, this could suggest that you're acting rashly, or you're feeling too restless, and that results in you like cutting off a relationship that has potential. Or you maybe like, I don't know, experiment without staying safe, and you sort of hurt yourself, like with, I don't know, electricity, sort of a light bulb bursting or something like that. So try to stay safe, but like experiment, but make sure you're like not stepping too far out of line, I guess, not like going too far. July 18th, Sun sextiles Uranus, a lovely, insightful energy, good for making art, expressing a more unique side of your personality, maybe shopping, buying clothes that are kind of quirky and fun, and also taking advantage of the opportunities to shine, or, you know, creating content for social media, putting yourself out there. July 20th, Mars sextiles Neptune. This is beautiful for sort of sensual, soulful romance, altruistic action, creative action as well. On July 20th, Mars also enters Gemini. Will stay here until September 4th. Mars in Gemini is very clever, very skillful, very chatty, right? But the challenge sometimes is that we may not follow through, or we may have a bit of a scattered attitude. We have too many interests. So the more you can narrow it down, the better for you. July 21st is a really big day. We have the second full moon in Capricorn. We had the first full moon in Capricorn on June 21st. So what was that for you? Because this is likely to be part 2. Full moon in Capricorn suggests a need to examine our feelings and put them against our duties, to examine relationship between feminine and masculine, mothers versus fathers, right? Cancer, Sun is still in Cancer, represents motherly energy. The moon in Capricorn represents fatherly energy. Needing to balance your emotional needs with your goals, right? And so it's interesting that this is the second full moon in Capricorn, because it suggests that we haven't finished the work that we started in June, and we need to perhaps do a little bit more of setting boundaries, redefining boundaries, letting go of some duties that don't serve us anymore, figuring out how to have a better work-life balance, maybe figuring out how to get more recognition at the job that we have. The full moon trines Neptune, because the Sun trines Neptune the same day, so it suggests that we have this soulful, forgiving, kind of kind attitude, and not only we're focused on progress and recognition, but we also want to do work that is meaningful and that helps other people. We also have Venus sextiling Jupiter the same day, which is quite lucky and opportune, and can actually bring you gifts and rewards that you've been waiting for. Mercury squares Uranus the same day, also July 21st, so there could be a bit of like breakthroughs in communication, potentially a moment of like a retrograde when something breaks, you know, some technology breaks and you need to fix it, but also maybe like, you know, some kind of clash that actually results in an eye-opening conversation and like deeper, better understanding. And Mars also trines Pluto on July 21st, which is a very focused, ambitious, determined energy, helping you assert yourself, helping you explore your passions without sort of coming across as threatening or challenging others. July 22nd, the Sun enters Leo. Will stay here until August 22nd, I believe. It says August 23rd, but I'm pretty sure it's August 22nd. Yeah, August 22nd. So the Sun is in Leo for the next month. Leo season is all about what makes us unique, what are our gifts. You know, it doesn't take away from the other transits and like the social bend, with Mars being in Gemini, Jupiter being in Gemini, Pluto being in Aquarius. But I think we are very much driven to be the best version of ourselves as we assert ourselves and maybe help the world. How can your gifts be part of the community? How can your talents shine brightly as you do the deeds that help others? Immediately, the Sun opposes Pluto on July 23rd, right? So similar energy to July 3rd to July 12th with Mercury and Venus. Keep track of those dates. The Sun opposite Pluto is like similar energy. It's like you show up in your regal gown to like a ball, and revolutionaries have taken over, and you can't sort of show your regal outfit because they want you to change. I don't know, it's like I'm taking this example really far, but like imagine, you know, imagine if something goes wrong, if something gets revealed, if something in your life gets challenged. Do you throw a tantrum? Do you act sort of in a very kind of selfish, loud way? Or do you transform? So Sun opposite Pluto, Mercury opposite Pluto, Venus opposite Pluto, all of these energies are inviting us to work through the challenges, to transform, to release something. On July 25th, Mercury enters Virgo. We'll stay here until August 14th. We'll go retrograde between August 5th and August 28th, moving from Virgo into Leo. But, you know, for a while, we'll talk about the retrograde when we get there, but for a while, Mercury in Virgo is really methodical, really good at paying attention to detail, very precise and clear in communication, and can help us edit, write, and later on, you know, with Mercury going retrograde, we might potentially have to redo some of the work that we are doing right now. And then on July 25th, we also have the Sun sextile Mars. After you've encountered some challenges and dealt with some power struggles or had to transform something or realize what's outdated, you now have the vitality, the courage, and the confidence needed to make the changes, to take action. So I think it's like, once again, like the king shows up to the ball, meets revolutionaries, and decides to work with them and decides to help them. And so Sun sextile Mars is like, okay, how are we going to take this action? So this is it in terms of the monthly rundown. Let's take a look at the 12 rising signs. As always, if you want an in-depth look at the month written down with all the dates specific to you and including these dates, you can become a subscriber on my website, anastasiadoesastrology.com. Over there, you can also book a reading and get an in-person consultation with me to help understand yourself better. Starting with the lovely Aries. In June, you focused on your finances, maybe taken action to build more stability. Maybe you've made some investments, also took classes or something in order to improve your knowledge and gather knowledge to have better chances. Let's say if you're looking for a different job. We've had Mars and Taurus, your second house. We've had a lot of action in Gemini with the Sun, Venus, Mercury, and Jupiter in Gemini, your third house, which is also suggestive of you either focusing on gaining knowledge or focusing on giving your knowledge and, you know, starting a new project, starting a new business, starting some kind of new undertaking. Your house of home and family have been highlighted as well with planets in Cancer. You may have spent more time home. You maybe traveled to connect with your family, maybe had a lot more sort of get-togethers in your home. And finally, the full moon in Capricorn on June 21st once again highlighted your house of career, status, reputation, and encouraged change in that area. So in July, the focus on money and values continues with Mars in Taurus, your second house, until July 20th. So whatever you got started in June, you're continuing to work on. If you have started a side hustle, you're still kind of working on it. Maybe you're building a business. Maybe you are making investments or doing research. On July 15th, we have an important Mars-Uranus conjunction, which is all about breaking away from the old. So for some of you, you may be just up and quitting your job or letting go of, maybe you're paying off some kind of debt. Maybe you're feeling impulsive to make an investment and, you know, like you're needing change, you're needing excitement in your life, and the change can definitely move into your financial sector. Like, once again, maybe you're taking a bunch of money and investing it into real estate, or you're taking a bunch of money and you're making a purchase. Just watch out for being too sort of reckless, rash, and erratic and making decisions that will cost you. The focus on home and family continues with the Sun and Venus specifically spending most of the month, at least the first 20 days of the month, in Cancer, your fourth house. They are trining Saturn in the 12th on July 2nd and July 10th. And this could suggest that you are healing. Maybe you're healing childhood wounds. Maybe you're finding forgiveness. Maybe you're finding acceptance that things that have happened in the past do not have to shape your future. And just like, you know, sort of moving through some kind of childhood matters. Maybe you're working on creating a sanctuary in your home and creating a spiritual place, maybe even tapping into some kind of spiritual practice and feeling a sense of belonging in that practice or the community that is associated with that practice. In general, you know, Cancer season until July 22nd will definitely offer you opportunities to see family, to connect with family, to beautify your home, to have more get-togethers, to maybe go to more house parties as well. On July 5th, we have a new moon in Cancer, which is all about new beginnings, a new home, a new family member, a new, maybe, you know, a new birth of something is all possible here. From early July, actually, we also have a lot of focus on your 5th house of pleasure, romance, self-expression, and children. Mercury enters Leo on July 2nd, Venus enters Leo on July 11th, and the Sun follows on July 22nd. So this suggests that you have potentially done a lot of self-work, a lot of self-analysis. You know, you've maybe spent some time connecting with your core needs and your core values, and then you're just ready to have some fun. You're ready to get out there, you're ready to date, you're maybe seeking summer romance, you're maybe looking for sort of ways to go out, to dance, to have fun, to spend time with children, or to connect with your inner child. It's not all going to be smooth sailing. Mercury, Venus, and the Sun will one by one oppose Pluto in your 11th house, which suggests that you may encounter some drama with your friends. And your friends might, you know, either you realize that they're being unreasonable and maybe there's changes that need to happen in your friendships, or your friends might have, you know, they might sort of have a point. Perhaps you want to go out and get drunk and your friends tell you like, hey, you've been doing it too much, and it really sort of stirs this like anger in you initially, but then you realize like, oh yeah, maybe it is true. Maybe I have been like overindulging and partying too hard or drinking too much. So tensions between your like personal pleasure, personal desires, and the views of your friends, or even your personal pleasure and your aspirations, your dreams for the future will need to be addressed, right? Because Pluto in the 11th also represents that you maybe have like strong ties to your community, you're thinking about helping the world, you're thinking about volunteering, doing sort of like altruistic type work. And so how do you balance those two? How do you get recognition and sort of have fun? Sorry if you can hear my microphone. But like, yeah, how do you balance your need for fun and your duties? Or how do you balance your goals with maybe different expectations or different values that your friendships have? On July 20th, Mars will enter Gemini, your 3rd house of skills, hobbies, communication, knowledge, applied knowledge, and business. And Mars will be here with Jupiter. And so Mars definitely speeds up this portion of your chart. It encourages you to do more. Schedule gets busier, more people to see, more places to go. Your interactions with neighbors get busier. You know, there might be more sort of, you run into people who live in your neighborhood and you connect with them and you schedule a meetup with them. So there's just that like, Mars is here between July 20th and September 4th. So it's a pretty long transit. You're learning more, you're talking more, you're moving fast. Watch out for driving too fast. That could be like a challenging side of this transit. But opportunities to take up new skills, express your knowledge, right? If you've been studying for a test, let's say, maybe now you're taking that test or you're getting a job where you get to express that knowledge. Your mind is faster, your mind is full of ideas, which could be great if you are a creative individual, or even for anyone, right? Like at your job, there might be more opportunities to problem solve, and maybe your ideas are useful for problem solving and can be quite helpful. And finally, another big one that's worth mentioning, on July 21st, we get the full moon in Capricorn, your 10th house. And this is the full moon in Capricorn number 2. We've had one on June 21st, which could have brought change to your professional sector. which could have encouraged some kind of transformation, release, and change. And this second full moon in Capricorn very much continues that theme, builds up on that, and could represent a professional change. Maybe you're changing careers, maybe you're changing departments, job titles. There might be professional recognition, a project you've been working on completing. Maybe you're switching to having a business from working for somebody else. Maybe you're letting go of a job because you're focusing on your home and family a little bit more. And Mercury also enters Virgo on July 25th. And this is your 6th house, which could suggest that you are like a lot more focused on your health and well-being. And so the changes to your work could be connected to that. Let me know how this resonates. What was your June like? Have you noticed the tensions between planets and Gemini and their squares to Saturn and Neptune? And if you're curious to know more, book a reading on my website, anastasiadoesastrology.com. I highly recommend you pick up a horoscope subscription and get monthly horoscopes sent to you at the start of every month. Or if you have any important questions about your year coming up, about your relationship, about your karmic purpose, book a reading on my website, and we can talk in person. Now, if you are the lovely Taurus rising, in June, you have worked a lot on your style, your health, your body. As Mars traveled through your 1st house, you may have experienced financial changes. Perhaps some kind of new ideas have entered your mind and you started investing into a new passion project, or just sort of diversifying your investments or diversifying your money sources, right? Sort of exploring new possibilities to make money. As we've had the Sun, Venus, Mercury, and Jupiter all in Gemini, your 2nd house. There could have been more action in your everyday life, more meetings with siblings, connections with neighbors, maybe more speaking engagements, more tests and exams that you needed to take as the planets one by one started shifting into Cancer. Your 3rd house and the full moon in Capricorn and your 9th on June 21st could have brought change to your house of education, travel, beliefs, and philosophies as you have finished a course of study, finished a journey of some sorts, completed a chapter of growth, and maybe even finished a legal matter or something like that. In July, your focus on self, your identity, your style, and purpose continues with Mars in Taurus until July 20th. So you're still very much driven to exercise, to take good care of yourself, to maybe start personal projects and assert yourself in some shape or form. It is Mars and Taurus, so you may be also feeling a little bit like frustrated but unable to express your frustration because Mars and Taurus will try its hardest to keep cool, calm, and collected. So if you're feeling frustrated, perhaps exercising is a good way to let some of the energy out. Mars conjoins Uranus on July 15th, and this is big. This is something we get once every 2 years. Last time Mars conjoined Uranus was August 1st, 2022. Did anything interesting happen in your life in late July, early August 2022? Because Mars and Uranus together is a very strong urge to break away from anything that is restricting in your life. Anything that feels like it's controlling you, that it's limiting you. And so here it's all about like personal image, personal style. So this might be the time you part ways with a business partner, you part ways with a job, or you decide to kind of go in a brand new direction, right? It could be lovely in terms of like experimenting in the gym or starting a new project, but I would urge you towards acting rashly and doing things that you haven't thought through, because even cutting away a connection can feel right in the moment but can cost you in the long run. So don't rush to sort of chop relationships and projects or commitments. There's still a lot of attention in July on Cancer, your 3rd house of skills, hobbies, communication, business, relationships with siblings and neighbors, and your community. We have the Sun and Venus here until July 11th, Sun until July 22nd, and they try Saturn in your 11th on July 2nd and July 10th. So this suggests that you are learning, that you are working towards building something. You're using your knowledge, you're using your gifts, you're using your connections in the community to make a positive impact because of that trine to Saturn in the 11th. And then we also get a new moon in Cancer on July 5th, which also very much representative of new beginnings. So you know, like maybe you're starting a new business, maybe you're starting a partnership with a sibling, maybe you're starting a writing project, maybe you are beginning some kind of podcast or some kind of technological social media community oriented project. So whatever it might be, I think you're using your knowledge and you're using your passions and you're bringing that into the world. So for some people, it might be opening a yoga studio, right? For others, it might be starting a podcast. So it will be very different based on what have you been working on. And please share down below. I would love to know what it is for you. If you need some help manifesting Taurus risings, Moon in Cancer 2 is a really great choice for manifesting and for any new moon rituals. From July 2nd, Mercury enters Leo, Venus follows on July 11th, and the Sun enters on July 22nd. So in July, there's also a lot of focus and attention on your 4th house of home, family, comfort, and security. So it's interesting with like the full moon in Capricorn in your 9th house, right? And some kind of completion of a chapter of growth, whether you're finishing education, you're finishing some kind of journey. For some of you, it could be literal, sort of like coming back home from a long trip, maybe. But for others, you know, this focus on the 4th house could just suggest that you're feeling more sentimental, you're feeling drawn to spend more time with your family, you're feeling drawn to beautify your home and sort of have more, you know, get-togethers in the home, get-togethers with family. You will run into a bit of a challenge and maybe power struggles with bosses or tensions between your home life and your desires for sort of peace at home and your desire for recognition, specifically on July 3rd, 12th, and 23rd, as Mercury, Venus, and the Sun oppose Pluto. And this could be a powerful moment of some kind of realization, right? You may feel like you're being overworked, you may feel like you're being pulled into many directions, and there will be an opportunity there to either set something free or, you know, maybe rebalance things in your life so you can have a bit more of a kind of, like happier relationship between your work life and your home life, because those two are likely to clash. Mars enters Gemini, your 2nd house of money and values, on July 20th. We'll stay here until September 4th, and we'll be hanging out together with Jupiter. So this could be quite lucky. This could be a sign of new opportunities to make money. Mars in Gemini is very like intelligent, very curious, very, let's let this pass, very sort of open-minded. But I think, you know, sort of brainstorming ideas to make money and like having many ideas right now is very likely. Having ideas that involve teaching, that involve writing, that involve sort of like investment, doing some kind of like intellectual work, maybe empowering other people, is quite likely at the time. Just watch how like you're overextend yourself and like have too many interests and move in too many directions, because you wouldn't want that to happen. You want to narrow it down as much as possible, because that's kind of a theme with Jupiter being in Gemini for the next year. How can we narrow it down? And then on July 21st, we get the final full moon in Capricorn. The second. Normally we only get one. This time around, it's the second full moon in Capricorn, which is a part 2 of the Capricorn full moon. We had one on June 21st. This one makes a harmonious aspect to Neptune in your 11th house. So it suggests some type of supportive relationship with community. It suggests potentially finishing a chapter of growth, maybe using your knowledge to serve other people, using everything you have acquired to bring goodness to the world. There could be, once again, changes around your living situation, changes to legal matters, changes to education, travel projects, writing projects, and things like that. On July 25th, also, Mercury enters Virgo, which is your 5th house, which could suggest that focus goes towards parenthood, towards romance, pleasure, and fun. Let me know how this resonates. If you're curious to know more, you can become a subscriber on my website, anastasiadoesastrology.com. Over there, you can also book a reading and get a natal chart breakdown, a relationship consultation, or a predictive year-ahead reading to find out what awaits you in the year to come. Now, if you are the lovely Gemini rising, in June we had Mars in Taurus, your 12th house, and you may have felt a pull to take a step back and retreat. All the while, planets in Gemini had you be more visible, encouraged you to sort of show up in the world, speak up, and maybe even change your style or take care of your wardrobe and sort of, work on your personal goals. So a little bit contradictory energy, right, of both wanting to retreat but having work to do. As planets from June 17th, as they entered Cancer, I'm just feeling my curly hair is like messing with my arm. But like with, planets started entering Cancer on June 17th, which is your 2nd house of money and values. You may have started brainstorming new financial ideas. Maybe you started making investments. Maybe you asked for more professionally, or just, worked on building more financial stability. And then the full moon in Capricorn on June 21st could have brought change to your house of debts, loans, taxes. Perhaps coming out of that need for financial stability, you paid off a debt or something, right? Maybe you've decided to clear a mortgage or pay off some kind of debt you had to a friend. And so the full moon in the 8th house suggested a movement towards having better finances, having sort of more stability financially. In July, you're still focusing on your blind spot. You're still feeling like taking a break. You're still feeling like working on projects in solitude. Perhaps those are spiritual projects, as Mars stays in Taurus until July 20th. It's a great time to go on nature walks, to meditate, to work on, anything kind of creative, imaginative, spiritual, altruistic in solitude by yourself. Mars conjoins Uranus on July 15th. This is a once in 2 years aspect. Last time it happened was on August 1st, 2022, which suggests unique breakthroughs and revelations. Since Mars is in your 12th house, this could be 2 main things. One would be sort of spiritual breakthrough, sort of realization, of how you're standing in your own way, how you're maybe being self-defeating. There might be kind of breakthrough in therapy and deeper realization, which leads to healing. There might also be a spiritual breakthrough or creative breakthrough, right? Because 12th house represents your blind spots and your interests that maybe are getting ready to be brought into the visible realm. So Mars conjunct Uranus in the 12th house could make you realize oh, I'm really interested in astrology. Let me go study it. Or or maybe you realize that you want to do healing work, that you want to work with kids of, children of addicts or something. So you realize something important about yourself. But watch out for acting brashly and making sort of reckless decisions, because in the 12th house, it can feel good in the moment, but it can be self-destructive in the long run, because that's what 12th house is about. While we are in Cancer season until July 22nd, there's still a lot of attention on your 2nd house of money and values. And the Sun and Venus both trine Saturn in the 10th house on July 2nd and July 10th, which could suggest positive rewards, a bonus, a pay raise, some type of recognition of the work that you've done. Just like also feeling appreciated, feeling kind of understood and supported by people you work with is quite likely. And then we get a new moon in Cancer on July 5th as well, which suggests new beginnings around finances and resources. Perhaps a new stream of income, perhaps a new project, because second house is also values and things you find valuable. Potentially a new investment, or even a new banker, a new accountant, a new financial consultant. Maybe you're even talking to a financial advisor, or you are diving into investing, diving into stock market and things like that is a possibility. The entire month, we also have a lot of action in Leo, which is your third house of skills, hobbies, knowledge, education, short trips, hobbies. I may have already said that, but it's like third house of your immediate environment and your immediate knowledge. We have Mercury here from July 2nd until July 25th, Venus from July 11th, and the Sun from July 22nd. And to me, this suggests that you are brainstorming new ideas. You're potentially communicating about things you're passionate about. You're maybe taking your knowledge, making it public, speaking in front of other people, collaborating with your siblings or your neighbors, but also like taking things you know and learning more about them, or expressing them on social media. It's a great time to like start a YouTube channel, right? Start a writing project, start a podcast or something like this. At the same time, Mercury, Venus, and the Sun will all oppose Pluto in your 9th house. And this is July 3rd, July 12th, and July 23rd, which suggests that there is an element of tension between what you want to do right now in the here and the now and the knowledge you have or you don't have. Tension between like the small details and the big picture. Perhaps, you know, the big picture contradicts what the resources you have available. So there might also be some kind of drama or tensions related to teachers, to bosses, or people who are sort of like teacher mentor type people, religious writing tension. I feel like there's one more that keeps escaping me. Legal matters, right? Like visas, some kind of stress that is connected to like you having to rely on other people. And so as these tensions come up, you are challenged to act in a high-minded way instead of going down the path of like trying to manipulate things or trying to force your agenda onto others. You will get a chance to kind of like approach things from a high-minded, you know, patient perspective, and perhaps transform something within yourself. Like if you feel like you encounter a challenging figure and like things bubble up to the surface and you want to scream, you want to shout, you want to punch people in the face, perhaps don't. Perhaps look for ways to breathe, and maybe you learn something about yourself, or you learn a new technique. Mars enters Gemini, your first house of self-identity and health on July 20th. Will stay here together with Jupiter until September 4th. This is good because Mars being in your 12th house could have, yes, encouraged you to work in solitude, but could have also brought up some kind of fears and insecurities potentially. And now Mars being in the first house gives you more energy to act more. It's like, you know, it's like a fighter being in the underworld when Mars was in Taurus and fighting ghosts versus now it's like in the real world and it can attack real problems. So Mars being in your first house can encourage you to exercise, encourage you to work on personal projects, to fight for what you believe, to speak up for what you believe. Just watch out for the usual Gemini tendency to scatter, pick too many things, waste energy. Just try to narrow your focus down as much as possible. On July 21st, we get the second full moon in Capricorn, your 8th house. The first one happened on June 21st. So the second full moon is part 2, and it happens in your 8th house. And I think as you're choosing to build more stability financially, as you're choosing to invest in your values or invest in general, your relationships with other people change, and your dependencies on other people change to a point of maybe you're paying off a debt, maybe you're letting go of an agreement you had with somebody else. You're sort of, with this full moon, you're rethinking your relationships with other people. You're rethinking how much you depend on them. You're rethinking how much you owe them, and either sort of cleaning it up by paying off debts, by letting go of the agreements, or maybe examining those dynamics and making healthy changes to them. On July 25th as well, Mercury enters Virgo, your 4th house of home and family, and there might be a lot more conversation about moving, about connecting with family members, about childhood, some type of like introspective mentality. Let me know how this resonates. If you're looking for more, book a reading on my website, anastasiadoesastrology.com. It is a good time to get a natal chart reading, to look at your chart for strengths, weaknesses, karmic purpose, your relationship potential, and more. You can also get a predictive reading or a relationship reading. And additionally, on my website, you can pick up a subscription and get monthly guidance sent to you at the start of every month. Now, if you are the lovely Cancer rising, in June, you may have taken a lead on some group project. Maybe you've interacted with friends more. Maybe you've worked on your dreams with Mars in Taurus, your 11th house. The Sun, Venus, Mercury, and Jupiter have spent the large portion of the month in Gemini, your 12th house, which also could have encouraged you to escape, get away, go on a trip, maybe go on a spiritual retreat of some sorts, or relocate, right? Or like also, I think, like get in touch with your inner self and gain clarity from within on what you want and what you desire. From June 17th, the Sun, Mercury, and Venus one by one started entering Cancer, your 1st house, which could have helped you speak up about the things that are important to you, maybe encouraged you to change your style, given you more energy and more courage, I think, to pursue your projects, your passion projects. And relationship changes could have been brought up by the full moon in Capricorn on June 21st. So in July, Mars is still in Taurus, your 11th house, until July 20th. And 11th house is the place of friendships, networks, social media, hopes, and dreams. So you're maybe connecting with others. You're maybe, once again, leading some kind of project, maybe at work, maybe with your friends. Maybe you're getting your friends, maybe you're a maid of honor, right? And you're getting friends together, sort of planning something. Maybe you're working towards your dream, or maybe you're working towards a social media success. Maybe you're figuring out a business strategy or social media strategy, or just some kind of like plan for the future. On July 15th, we have Mars-Uranus conjunction, which is a sign of big breakthroughs and revelations and opportunities to free yourself from outdated friendships, outdated relationships, or opportunities to experiment, to experience a breakthrough, to find a new way of doing something, right? Like, let's say you've been thinking about starting a business, or you've been thinking about starting a podcast, and so Mars conjoins Uranus, and you just do it, or you decide to do it on a platform that you haven't used before, or you use AI, right? It's really a great time to like follow your desires, but you need to be patient, you need to be focused, because sometimes Mars conjunct Uranus can lead to kind of reckless action that is costly in the long run. Like you want to watch out for acting like erratically and sort of screaming at your friend without understanding their point of view, right? The focus on Cancer still continues. The Sun and Venus are in Cancer until July 22nd, Venus until July 11th, and they trine Saturn in the 9th. So that feels good in terms of your identity, in terms of feeling more energetic, in terms of feeling more connected to what you're learning, more connected to mentors and teachers and people who have some kind of knowledge that you seek because of that Saturn in the 9th house. You may feel like you've discovered a philosophy that is supportive, or you discovered a country you want to move in, or you discovered a mentor who is like a good guide for you, right? The focus on Cancer is very much like new beginnings in your life, and we get a new moon in Cancer on July 5th, which is very much changes to your identity, changes to your style, changes to your wardrobe and your look. And in a grand scheme of things, how many sirens are going to pass me by in one video? I mean, it's a long video. But I think changes to the way you answer a question of who are you. If people ask you, who are you? And you say, I am a mother, I am an engineer, I am a yoga teacher, I'm a housewife, I'm a business owner. So those will be changing, right? Slowly but surely, step by step, you are reinventing yourself. And July is a crucial month for that. At the same time, slowly but surely, planets start to shift into Leo. Mercury goes first on July 2nd, Venus follows on the 11th, and Sun enters on the 22nd. And this is your second house of money and values. So after you figure out who you are and what is worth your time, what is worth your attention, you are now figuring out how to allocate your resources, how to have a budget, who to talk to, right? Like potentially with Mercury being here, who can give you advice on financial literacy, financial strategy. You're maybe looking into investing something. With Venus being in the second house from July 11th until August 4th, you're maybe spending on art and beauty and sort of pleasurable things, but also all the while trying to figure out how to, like, I think, have financial abundance, have financial stability. Venus in being in your second house can actually be lovely in terms of other people supporting you, or maybe getting access to resources of other people. But you got to be aware that you don't like fall into the trap of being codependent, or that you don't start fighting about money, which is quite likely this month, especially around July 3rd, 12th, and 23rd. When Mercury, Venus, and the Sun oppose Pluto in the 8th. And this is very much like, I value this, you value that. I want to spend my money this way, you want to spend your money that way. So some kind of tension between your desires, your resources, and what others can give you. Or, you know, reliance on other people, perhaps like realization that you're too dependent on others, or that you're too independent and you need to let people in, let them help you, let them take care of you. Or maybe a realization that, you know, you've been holding on to something that's outdated, that seemingly gives you support, but really maybe only drains you and frustrates you. So oppositions to Pluto can be tense, can be dramatic and explosive, but can also be very educational and eye-opening in a lot of ways. On July 20th, Mars enters Gemini, your 12th house of spirituality and mental health, and will stay here until September 4th. It will stay here together with Jupiter. So Mars in the 12th house could suggest the period of taking action towards like getting away. 12th house representing sort of faraway places, hidden places. With Mars here, you're maybe, you know, taking action to travel, to go to a spiritual retreat. You're maybe, your dreams are likely to be more sort of colorful and potent. But I think, you know, like this is also a great time to work in solitude on a project that you feel passionate about. It could be a great time to explore topics like astrology, like healing of yourself or healing of other people. Just watch out for, like, Mars and Gemini can sometimes bring like a bit of a scattered energy. You have so many interests, not enough time. So make sure that you're narrowing things down and focusing on one thing at a time. On July 21st, we get the full moon in Capricorn, your 7th house. No. Yes, Yes, your seventh house. So the full moon, I was like, what sign are we on? Cancer rising. So the full moon in Capricorn in the seventh house on July 21st is part 2. We've had the first full moon on June 21st. So what was happening on June 21st in your relationships? Because the full moon part 2 can represent continuation of that. It can suggest that a relationship is transforming. Maybe you are letting go of a connection because you're realizing it doesn't serve you. Maybe you're experiencing some kind of change. Maybe you are moving out of your parents' house and your relationship with your parent is changing, right? Maybe you're committing to a relationship. Maybe you're moving in together with your significant other. Important transformations in relationships are quite likely at this time. Let me know how this resonates and have a great July. If you want to know more, you can book a reading on my website, anastasiadoesastrology.com, and pick up a subscription there. I highly recommend Moon and Cancer candles for every Cancer rising. There's lots going on my website, and you can definitely find it all at anastasiadoesastrology.com. If you are the beautiful Leo rising, in June you took professional action with Mars in Taurus. You may have networked a lot, gone out, connected with people, went to weddings and had fun with the Sun, Venus, Mercury, Jupiter in Gemini, your 11th house. And then from about June 17th, as the planets one by one started shifting into Cancer, you may have also experienced the desire to slow down, to get away, to retreat, and either, maybe travel or connect with your spirituality or work on spiritual projects, just sort of spend more time in solitude. The full moon in Capricorn on June 21st could have brought changes to your professional life, to your health, maybe like a different strategy around taking care of your health, maybe also changes to your relationship with your pets or your diet or your exercise routine. In July, the focus on professional matters continues with Mars in Taurus until July 20th. Mars conjoins Uranus on July 15th. This is once in 2 years aspect. Last time it happened was in August 2022. August 1st. So what was it like for you? Do you remember late July, early August 2022? Have you experienced any professional changes? Mars and Uranus is like a strong desire to break away from any restriction. So if anyone is holding you back, if there is a boss or professional situation that feels stifling and challenging, this could be the time when you're just like, you've had enough and you choose to walk away. I would highly urge you to not be reckless and not make sort of rash decisions that you may later regret, that maybe are not good for you. But it could be a good time to experiment, to sort of try new things, to make a social media post or something, to like do something different, to sort of lean towards AI, ask AI for help, and because it's like Mars, Uranus, very much about breakthroughs, new things, experimentation. But until July 20th, you definitely have a lot of focus on the professional house. It might be a little bit tough, I think, at times, because Mars and Taurus doesn't like conflict. So when you need to assert yourself, when you need to speak up, it might be a little bit harder to do so, or you choose to not speak up and then you do and people take it the wrong way. I highly recommend for the lovely Leo risings, my Venus and Taurus candle. Look how pretty. It's pink and it's decorated with rose quartz crystals to align the candle with Venus. And because this is Venus and Taurus, it highlights your 10th house of career, so it can help you navigate the challenging situations at work with grace and patience and sort of charm of Venus. So this would be my choice for you, lovely Leo risings. Also sunlight in a jar, but I don't have that in front of me. Anyways, we are still in Cancer season until July 22nd, so you are still in that place of retreating, maybe wanting to spend time in solitude, maybe working on something in privacy of your own home or your own sort of sanctuary. The Sun and Venus in Cancer will trine Saturn and Neptune in your 8th house, so what you're working on might relate to freeing yourself from debts. It might be connected with your maybe healing journey, right? You're maybe working on healing, talking to a therapist, being more self-aware. Maybe you're addressing your dynamics with other people. But somehow Cancer season is likely to be like quite introspective for you. And some of you might enjoy it. Some of you might feel like too much is coming up and you would just rather escape it and have fun. But like, I would urge you to not escape too much, or look for healthy outlets of escape, right? Like exercising or meditating, stuff like that. And on July 5th, we get a new moon in Cancer in your 12th house, which could offer you a chance to introduce better spiritual habits, better mental health hygiene, where you are making changes to how much time you spend on social media, when you go to bed, how much you scroll, etc. Or maybe, you know, can also bring like changes that involve going to a therapist, or changes that involve tapping into your hobbies and interests and like committing to them. At the same time, this month, we have a lot of action. One by one, planets start shifting into Leo on July 2nd until July 25th. Mercury is in Leo. Venus enters Leo on July 11th. The Sun enters Leo on July 22nd. So you're slowly starting to shift from that a little bit introspective, quiet, private person into the usual version of you, right? Like as a Leo rising, you're bold, you're bright, you're noticeable, you're loud at times, right? So planets one by one entering your first house, especially like with Mercury going in first, you start talking about yourself. You start talking about everything you have realized, everything that's important to you, or feeling more comfortable expressing your feelings. On July 11th, Venus enters Leo and you're starting to feel more charming. From July 11th until August 4th, with Venus in Leo, it's a great time to color your hair, to do any beauty procedures, to change your wardrobe. The Sun enters Leo on July 22nd and you're like empowered, energetic, ready to take on the world. At the same time, there's a little bit of drama. Mercury, Venus, and the Sun will all oppose Pluto on July 3rd, 12th, and 23rd. And Pluto is in your 7th house of relationships. So somehow your personal agenda and your personal goals may contradict the goals or the agenda of your partner or your relationship. So having to navigate a little bit of tense dynamics between I want this, I'm ready for this, and your partner maybe saying something else, or your partner going through a difficult time and their life, their turmoil affecting your peace. Just try to be patient, try to stay high-minded, watch out for like manipulating power struggles, sort of angry outbursts, and try to handle it with grace, right? We're here for it. Mars enters Gemini, your 11th house of friendships, networks, hopes, and dreams on July 20th, stays here until September 4th. We'll be together with Jupiter. You feel a burst of energy to make content, to connect with your friends, to go out, to be a leader. You're going to be the one potentially who gathers people together, who makes plans, who schedules parties. Your interests are many, plenty, abundant, and you actually want to make sure you're narrowing them down. You're not like, even with your social engagements, right? Like, don't spread yourself too thin. Don't overdo it. Like, you will end up sort of burned out and frustrated and like low in energy. So you want to be careful there. On July 21st, we get the full moon in Capricorn, your 6th house. This is part 2. We've already had the full moon in Capricorn on June 21st. So now it's the second one. So how was the first one? But this one can bring changes to your work, health, service, pets. I think with like Cancer season highlighting your 12th house and maybe you realizing that you need to take better care of your mental health, you're now ready to take care and make changes to your everyday life, to your immediate environment. It could involve decluttering. It could involve making doctor's appointments. You may get a pet. You may sort of part ways with a pet if, let's say, you got a pet and you realize you're allergic or some other situation. There might be changes in your job or opportunities to set better boundaries at work and create better work-life balance. Additionally, just a quick mention, on July 25th, Mercury will enter Virgo, your 2nd house, and your thoughts might go towards making money, making money through writing, making money through sales. Maybe you put your old clothes on sale, making investments, and just sort of looking into financial action, looking into it and taking financial action. Let me know how this resonates. If you're curious to know everything else that's going to happen to you, and you're curious to receive a personalized horoscope, you can become a subscriber on my website, anastasiadoesastrology.com. On there, you can also book a reading and find out what your natal chart has to say, what your year ahead has coming up, or what your relationship has in store, or how to better navigate it. Moving on to the beautiful Virgo rising. In June, Mars was in Taurus, which suggested more trips, more studies, more interactions with teachers, mentors, opportunities to grow, right? We also had a lot of action in Gemini with the Sun, Mercury, Venus, and Jupiter, suggesting professional developments. Maybe you've been learning and now you're finally getting a job. Maybe you've been networking more. And that is also, sort of like that connection between education, career, and networking are all highlighted by the fact that we also had Venus, Mercury. Just a second. I got too excited about your Virgo rising progress. But, we've had Mars in Taurus, we've had planets in Gemini, and then planets in Cancer. So it's all connected. It's like starting with education, travel, philosophy, religious community, going into career, and then going into networking. So you've done all three of them, right? You've studied, you've traveled, you maybe attended religious, philosophical meetings, and then you potentially took that into the professional realm and chose to teach about it, and then you may have also networked with planets in Cancer. And then the full moon in Capricorn on June 21st brought attention to your house of romance, pleasure, and children, and suggested change in that area. Maybe relationship transformation, maybe parenthood, or a more honest look at your habits and a need to set better boundaries around pleasure. So in July, Mars is still in Taurus until July 20th. The focus on education, travel, writing, publishing, legal matters continues. You're maybe writing, you're maybe traveling, you're maybe studying, interacting with teachers, dealing with legal matters. On July 15th, we have a major opportunity for a breakthrough, revelation, a chance to break away from the old, start something new as Mars conjoins Uranus. This is very experimental, restless, freedom-loving energy. If anyone is trying to control you, you will not be having it. Watch out though for getting into ideological fights, punching a pastor or something like that, like punching a teacher. It could be very, very kind of restless and very fast and spontaneous or erratic energy. But could also be a great time to experiment and maybe try writing in a unique style, or try applying technology, science, internet, AI to help you express yourself. Last time we had this was August 1st, 2022. So take a look back and see if something was happening in your life at that time. The focus on Cancer continues, your 11th house of friendships, networks, hopes, and dreams, until July 22nd. And this suggests that you're going out more, that you're networking more, that you're connecting with friends. Maybe you are connecting with people who are like-minded, meeting new people, starting group projects. There is a trine between the Sun and Venus in Cancer and Saturn in your 7th house. So maybe it's group dates you're going on, or maybe you're turning a friendship into a relationship, because the house of friendships, network, social media is connected to the house of partnerships. So, these two can mix in a variety of ways. They can mix as in a group date, or a romantic relationship with a friend, or maybe you're starting a partnership with your significant other. Even starting a partnership, like a business relationship with a friend, is a possibility here. And we get a new moon on July 5th in Cancer, which suggests new friendships, new connections, new associations, a really good time to start a social media project, to start a podcast, to present your idea to the larger world, and also think of how you can impact the world. Because if you're feeling, if you're ever feeling stuck, you can never go wrong with being like, how can my unique gifts and talents benefit others? Take away some of the focus from yourself and bring the attention to other people, to helping other people. Mercury enters Leo on July 2nd and until July 25th. It will be in your 12th house. Venus follows on July 11th. The Sun follows on July 22nd. So this is a bit of a break. This is a bit of a retreat, a pause in your busy everyday life. There will be a bit of like a fade in, fade out, right? Because as Mercury is already in your 12th house, the Sun is still in the 11th. So you may be both kind of craving alone time and solitude, but still dealing with a busy social schedule. There might be something that is private in your life while you're networking and socializing. There's a part of your life that you're not sharing with others. That can involve a creative project. That can involve maybe an altruistic pursuit. Or with Venus here, it could involve a secret relationship, right? Some type of like secret, like just make sure that it's not a relationship with someone who you shouldn't be in a relationship with. Like, Venus in the 11th can find excitement in dating someone who is already maybe married or unavailable, or someone like an ex, like a toxic relationship. So you're going to beware of the more challenging 12th house tendencies that could, imply sort of self-destructive behaviors. Mercury, Venus, and the Sun will all oppose Pluto in your 6th house on July 3rd, July 12th, and 23rd, which represents tensions between your desire to escape, your desire to do work that is healing and spiritual, your mental health, and your everyday life, the grind of everyday life, your responsibilities at work, your commitment to taking care of others, sort of, desire for freedom, desire for escape versus the grind, desire to do your own thing and be creative versus the injustices of the world. So beware of getting into fights with people over those things, and try to act high-minded, try to look for opportunities to transform outdated patterns around mental health, around work. Maybe you realize that other people rely on you too much and they can't do their work because you've been giving them advice nonstop. So opportunities to kind of like change the dynamics can be abundant at this time. Mars enters Gemini, your 10th house of career, on July 20th, stays here until September 4th. This speeds up your professional sector. Mars joins Jupiter, so it could be quite lucky around now. The action you take brings sort of growth and good luck. And with Jupiter here, you are very much about presenting the world a new you, becoming a teacher, becoming a mentor, becoming a guide for other people. And so Mars comes in and it's like, what about this? What about that? What about this? It can give you a lot of ideas. It can give you energy to be assertive. It can be very can diversify who you talk to, what you do, where you're headed. So it could be really great, but I would urge you that you sort of stay, don't overextend yourself. Watch out for Mars and Gemini being too erratic or scattered. So it's best to narrow your focus down. On July 21st, we get the second full moon in Capricorn, your 5th house. Like I said at the start of your section, we already had one on June 21st. So this is part 2. It trines Neptune in your 7th house, and it could represent changes to your romantic relationship, parting ways, or growing closer, changes to parenthood, pregnancy, or maybe changes in the life of your child, creative completion, some kind of creative change as you finish a project maybe, and also changes around habits, around pleasures, maybe realizing which ones don't serve you, which ones need to be like, where do you need to have better boundaries around pleasure, or better boundaries around relationships, or better boundaries around parenthood. And then on July 25th, we also have Mercury entering Virgo. And until the end of the month, you will have more courage to speak about yourself. You will speak with more precision. You will be more direct. And this is quite a lovely energy to have. Let me know how this resonates. If you want to know more, you want to know every single detail about the month coming up, you can become a subscriber on my website, anastasiadoesastrology.com. On there, you can also book a reading, get a year ahead reading, a natal chart, or relationship reading, or pick up my Mercury in Virgo candle, which is perfect for you, or Mercury Kazemi candle. Actually, I created, this is a brand new creation from June 14th, and it's capturing Mercury conjunct the Sun. Moving on to the lovely Libra rising. In June, Mars was in Taurus, your 8th house. You may have dealt with some kind of agreements with other people, loans, debts, taxes. I paid my sales tax, so definitely that happened for me as a Libra rising. Sun, Mercury, Venus, and Jupiter in Gemini could have offered you opportunities to travel, to grow, to study, to expand your world somehow. From June 17th onwards, we've had planets shift into Cancer, which could have highlighted your professional sector, brought more professional action, more partnerships, more maybe hustling, creating things, making things happen for yourself. And the full moon in Capricorn, your 4th house on June 21st, highlighted the house of home, family, and living situation, and potentially encouraged you to make changes, to rethink your relationship with family, to rethink your boundaries, and rethink your work-life balance. In July, Mars is still in Taurus, your 8th house, until July 20th. So you're still paying off debts. You're maybe hustling, looking for clients. You're maybe dealing with partnerships, addressing sort of other people's problems, right? But struggling a little bit with being passive aggressive, or being unable to be direct as you would like, because Mars in Taurus doesn't like confrontation, and when it gets into one, it may struggle asserting yourself. If you are born with Mars in Taurus, definitely get my Exalted Mars candle, because that's Mars in Capricorn, empowered, exalted, strategic, and knows when to fight, when not to fight, and how to fight. On July 15th, we have Mars-Uranus conjunction. This is a once in 2 years aspect. Last time it happened was August 1st, 2022, so definitely take a look back. Mars and Uranus is freedom loving. It's, you know, it's very much like, nothing will hold me back. I don't want this anymore. I'm going to break away. In the 8th house, we're talking about debts. We're talking about agreements with other people. We're talking about dependencies on other people. So with this aspect, you are very much ready to break away. You're ready to start fresh. Just watch out that you're not acting recklessly and just sort of running away from your family because, you know, you feel tired, like running away from your children because you've had enough. But maybe use this as an opportunity to like figure out a creative way to have more financial stability, or a creative way to look for clients, or a creative way to partner up with other people. Like, you know, it's a great time to experiment, I think, in terms of money, in terms of relationships and partnerships, but you don't want to be too reckless, erratic, that you make changes that upset your life or upset your dynamics with other people. The focus on your career continues until July 22nd as the Sun spends the month in Cancer. Venus is also here until July 11th, offering you opportunities to shine professionally, helping you be more charming. Hello. I'm filming this as Venus is already in Cancer, so I'll take it. And allowing you, I think, to get along with others, allowing you to manifest things easier. There's also a trine to Saturn in your 6th house on July 2nd and July 10th, first from Venus, then from the Sun, which is once again a sense of accomplishment, a sense of recognition, a sense of doing work that makes you feel fulfilled. And we get a new moon in Cancer on July 5th, which is also a sign of new beginnings and new opportunities professionally. Maybe a new job, maybe a promotion, maybe a new creative project, right? Something exciting that you're opening yourself up to. On July 2nd, Mercury enters Leo, Venus follows on the 11th, Sun follows on the 22nd. This is your house of social media, networks, friendships, community. You're likely to go out more in July. You're likely to be more popular. People are calling you, you are calling people. You're gathering people, you're going out, you're having fun. The challenge here comes from Leo planets opposing Pluto in the 5th house, and this happens 3 times on July 3rd, 12th, and 23rd. And this brings a bit of a tension between your desire for connection with others and your desire for personal satisfaction. There might be tension between your friendships and your romantic relationship, between your social agenda and your parenthood duties, right? Or your desire to hang out with your kids. So there might be a little bit of like a feeling of being pulled in too many directions, and definitely a need to narrow it down a little bit. But try to like watch out for, I can also see this as like, you know, with like Pluto in the 5th house, questions of jealousy coming up, questions of fears around parenthood, around love, around romance coming up, and how that might affect your romantic relationship or your, even like your kind of social goals and social kind of status, right? So try to be high-minded. But in general, Leo season can definitely offer you more opportunities to shine on social media, to go out more, to network more, and connect with people who are like-minded. On July 20th, Mars enters Gemini, your 9th house, and will stay here until September 4th. Mars will be here with Jupiter, which is quite lucky. And Mars will activate that Jupiterian energy that is here for a full year. And Mars will offer you opportunities to travel, opportunities to study, opportunities to connect with foreigners, to write, to publish, to teach. So it's great, but it could be a lot, right? Gemini energy is very diverse, very versatile, very curious. So this could be awesome as long as you keep it in check and keep your focus narrowed down. Don't overextend yourself, don't go on too many adventures, don't get into too many fights. That's very much like Mars in the 9th house can also encourage you to speak up and fight for your beliefs. So watch out for getting into like kerfuffles. Watch out for getting into fights with others. On July 21st, we get the second full moon in Capricorn, your 4th house. This is part 2. The first one happened on June 21st. And here there's also a positive trine to Neptune in the 6th house. So I guess if the first full moon introduced some change that is needed in your life, but didn't give you enough time to implement the change, this full moon will offer you that. It also has like a very kind of sensitive, forgiving, caring energy. So if you've had any challenges in the family, this full moon can bring a sense of connection, agreement, deeper understanding, closing a fight. There may be transformations in your living situation, maybe changes that involve your roommates, your neighbors, your community somehow. But very much, I think, like opportunity to create more work-life balance and create more stability in the home, so that as you go out there in the outside world and you achieve your dreams and you follow your rainbows and your unicorns, you have more kind of like stability at home. So maybe you'll need to move, maybe you'll need to restructure or change your relationship with family somehow. Additionally, on July 25th, Mercury enters Virgo, your 12th house, and you are likely to become a little bit more private and think thoughts that you're going to keep to yourself. It's a very introspective Mercury. It's very analytical, so it's great for working on a project behind the scenes, but it might be something that takes a while because Mercury will also go retrograde in August. More on that when we talk about August. Let me know how this resonates. If you want to know more, book a reading on my website, AnastasiaDoesAstrology.com. I do relationship, predictive, and year ahead readings. Those are the same, but also natal readings. And if you want to know what the month of July and every other month has in store for you, which unique transits are coming up, you can become a subscriber on my website, anastasiadoesastrology.com. If you are the beautiful Scorpio rising, in June, you have focused a lot on relationships with Mars in Taurus, your 7th house. You may have talked about business agreements, signed contracts, negotiated partnerships. A lot of attention could have also been on other people's resources, like your partner's money, your partner's family, your partner's drama, potentially, if your partner had any drama going on in their life. But like, you know, you may have been very intimately involved with what's going on in the lives of others. So for some, maybe a partner going through some kind of, you know, something happening in the partner's life and you are involved. For others, it could be maybe you're working with other people, maybe you're a healer, so June could have brought opportunities to like work with other people, pay off debts, renegotiate agreements, and heal as well. And then from June 17th onwards, as Mercury, Venus, and the Sun entered Cancer, your focus went towards travel, towards learning, teaching, growing, and sort of maybe philosophical, spiritual inquiries. And finally, on June 21st, we had the full moon in Capricorn, your 3rd house, which could have brought change and transformation to your relationship with your neighbors, siblings, to your business, to your skills, communication. Maybe you finished a writing project, maybe you took an exam, maybe you went on a short trip. In July, the focus on relationship continues. Mars stays in Taurus, your 7th house, until July 20th. So this suggests more action, more dates, more opportunities to date, more opportunities to sign contracts, negotiate business agreements, right? 7th house is not just romantic relationships, it's other relationships. It's sort of one-on-one partnerships. So Mars here will definitely offer a chance to act. It's also Mars in detriment, so it can suggest a little bit of passive aggressiveness. If you are a Scorpio rising born with Mars in Taurus or Mars in Libra, I highly recommend my Mars Kazemi candle, because that is Mars in rulership conjunct the Sun, empowered, strong, and really good at knowing when to fight, how to fight, when not to fight, and things like that. So you got to be careful until July 20th that you sort of stifle frustration, not express it, and then it backfires and results in kind of like dramatic exchanges, especially around July 15th as we get Mars-Uranus conjunction. That can result in very much like, I don't care, I want freedom, I can't be controlled, I can't be put in the box, I'm out of here, right? So like Mars conjunct Uranus can definitely be like frustrating. It can also be eye-opening, right? Like Mars-Uranus conjunction is really great for experimenting in the bedroom. Maybe you want to bring some toys in, or you, I don't know, try a threesome, whatever floats your boat. Maybe you experience some kind of eye-opening conversation. Maybe you decide to open up your relationship, and those are just some examples, right? But you want to watch out for just like being very sporadic, erratic, and just being like, he didn't put his socks in the cubby, I'm out of here. So because like that can also happen. The frustration can sort of boil over. And this aspect is once in 2 years. Last time we had it was August 1st, 2022. So definitely take a look back and let me know if anything, if you remember anything changes in your relationships in late July, early August 2022, because that energy might be, the energy right now might be quite similar to that. Cancer season is in full swing until July 22nd, which suggests that there's a lot of attention on your 9th house of education, travel, writing, publishing, legal matters. There's also a new moon here on July 5th. So you are growing, you're maybe studying something new, you're maybe starting a course of study, you're maybe teaching other people or dealing with some kind of legal matter. Maybe you're exploring different philosophies and, like opening yourself up to something. For some, it might be related to your job. For others, it might be related to becoming a parent. Planets in Cancer do trine Saturn in the 5th house. The 5th house is all about pleasure, romance, parenthood. So learning about love, learning about sex, learning about parenthood, learning about your pleasures and like painting and, you know, web design or whatever it is that you are intimately involved with right now or passionate about right now is quite likely here. Mercury enters Leo on July 2nd, and Venus follows on July 11th, and the Sun follows on July 22nd. This is your professional sector, so this brings a lot of attention to your house of career, status, and reputation. Mercury here offers opportunities to maybe brainstorm new ideas, maybe come up with unique ways of doing things. Maybe you're selling stuff, maybe you're writing more professionally. Venus here should help you negotiate and should help you get along with bosses, and will also encourage you to do work that is pleasant, that is creative, that is joyful. And the Sun will offer more opportunities to be visible and to shine and to potentially sort of step into the spotlight and get recognition for your work. The challenge comes from the opposition to Pluto in the 4th house. And this happens 3 times on July 3rd, 12th, and 23rd, as Mercury, Venus, and the Sun all oppose Pluto. So this brings some kind of, you know, some kind of tension, some kind of conflict, some kind of drama from your home family sector, and that affects your professional life and professional aspirations, right? So maybe a family member is going through a difficult time and they call you up and they pull you out of an important meeting. Maybe your house, like maybe there is, I don't know, maybe there is something going on in your home and some kind of redecoration project that is being too stressful and it's taking away your attention. Maybe, yeah, like some kind of developments around real estate, home, family that are somehow challenging are likely. And of course, I don't understand why it's so loud, but I think it's gonna quiet down. I think they're doing construction nearby too, which is great. Yay, winning. But I think, you know, the invitation here is, of course, to like stay high-minded, stay like patient, avoid manipulating, avoid trying to like push your agenda, avoid trying to be controlling, and like welcome the opportunities for transformations. Pluto is not the kindest teacher, especially through opposition, but it is still a teacher. It's still going to try to help you. It might like encourage you to rethink your boundaries with family or rethink your dynamics. Like, you know, if you're really focused on building a business or you're really focused on like starting a new life for yourself somehow and the family doesn't understand you, perhaps you need to have an honest conversation with them. Perhaps it's not like a super dramatic thing that's happening with family, but it's very much about being more honest with them. Mars enters Gemini on July 20th, stays here until September 4th, joins Jupiter in your 8th house of debts, loans, and taxes. Mars here will give you more energy to attack problems, to start partnerships, to pay off debts, right? To connect with other people, to heal. 8th house is all about resources of other people and dependencies we have on other people. So Mars can encourage you to either start new partnerships and get access to the resources of other people, or perhaps free yourself from outdated dynamics, from unhealthy relationships, from unhealthy agreements. Just watch out for Mars and Gemini being a little bit too chaotic and trying to spread you into many directions. You might enjoy narrowing your focus down and working on one problem, one project at a time. On July 21st, we get the second full moon in Capricorn. The first one happened on June 21st. This brings changes, transformations to your house of siblings, neighbors, local community, business, skills, communication. So, you know, the full moon in Capricorn is very much about structure. It's very much about boundaries. It's very much about like what needs to be discussed, what needs to be addressed, right? So maybe there is some kind of communication that needs to happen. Maybe you need to be honest about, once again, with all these tensions, right, between like work and family. Maybe you need to be honest about what you need and how you expect things to go. Maybe you need to have some kind of, make some changes to your everyday life so that you have time to do things. Like the full moon in the third to me reads as like a need to restructure something, to change your everyday life, to have a better flow. And that structure can come like, you know, maybe you need to take an exam, maybe you need to have a conversation with someone, maybe you literally need to like declutter and rearrange your space so that you have a better flow. On July 25th, too, Mercury enters Virgo, your 11th house, and that suggests that you're starting to network more, you're starting to connect with others, maybe you're venturing on social media and coming up with new ideas to like help others or interact with others. Let me know how this resonates. If you're curious to know more, you want to know what's coming up for you specifically and how your chart will be activated, you can become a subscriber on my website, anastasiadoesastrology.com. On my website, you can also book a reading to get an in-person consultation and find out what your natal chart has to say, what your year ahead has coming up, or how compatible you are with your significant other. I'd be happy to answer any questions you have. If you are a Sagittarius rising, in June you handled professional matters with Mars in Taurus, your 6th house. You may have dated more, gone out on more dates, partnered up, signed contracts with the Sun, Mercury, Venus, and Jupiter in your 7th. Cancer season and planets entering Cancer starting June 17th brought your attention to debts, loans, taxes, partnerships, and questions of fairness as you perhaps negotiated agreements, paid out loans, mortgage payments, etc., and talked about what's fair, what you deserve, what you want, and what you don't want. And finally, the full moon in Capricorn on June 21st, the first full moon in Capricorn, we have the second one coming up in July, brought changes to your personal finances and values. So I think as you made realizations about shared resources, debts, and loans, you have also felt a need to perhaps implement changes to your personal resources and perhaps rethink your values on some level. In July, the focus on your work, health, service, and pets continues with Mars and Taurus, your 6th house. Mars is here until July 20th, and Mars conjoins Uranus between July 10th and 20th. It's exact on the 15th, which suggests that you are seeking freedom professionally. You're seeking new things. You're potentially feeling restless, especially around that July 10th, 20th period with Uranus conjunction. You don't want to be held back. You don't want to be put in the box. You feel ready for something new. So Mars and Uranus is really great for experimenting, following your passionate desires, trying new things, looking for a new job, doing things differently. But you have to be mindful of a tendency to act too rashly, to sort of, getting into careless accidents, like hurting yourself because you rushing ahead, trying to get the project off the ground. So you want to be slow, steady, wins the race basically here. And you also want to be aware of the kind of passive aggressiveness that maybe bursts out and results into a conflict around July 15th because you've held it in so much that it's finally out there. So if you're feeling frustrated, maybe go for a run, maybe express this energy through like healthier ways. The focus on your 8th house continues with the Sun being in Cancer until July 22nd. Venus is here until July 11th. And there's also a new moon in Cancer on July 5th. So you're still paying off debts. You're still handling financial matters. You're still maybe applying for scholarships or getting loans, paying off a mortgage. You're kind of very focused right now on clearing your agenda in terms of finances, in terms of even like karmic dependencies might be the point of focus right now. The Sun and Venus trine Saturn in the 4th house, so it definitely feels connected to mortgage, right, to your home. So matters that involve selling a home, buying a home, applying for a mortgage. 8th house, Cancer season, trining Saturn in the 4th can also suggest that you're kind of realizing how tied you are to your family. Just a second. And maybe realizing how your relationship with family, like, how can it be improved, right? Like, you're maybe seeing more clearly what is healthy versus what needs attention, what needs to be transformed. So there may be now opportunities to rethink your relationship with family and to bring more balance, honesty, and fairness into it. On July 2nd, Mercury enters Leo, stays here until July 25th. Venus follows on July 11th, and so does the Sun on July 22nd. This brings attention to your house of education, travel, writing, publishing, legal matters, philosophy, religion. So you are craving adventure, you're craving growth, you're craving a foreign connection potentially, or like I said, some kind of like expansion, some kind of growth that you're interested in. So all of these planets in the 9th house can inspire you to study something new, can inspire you to write, connect with teachers, connect with mentors, travel, go on a trip somewhere. All the while, these planets oppose Pluto in the 3rd house on July 3rd, July 12th, and 23rd. And this suggests that your desire, your readiness to take action, to maybe be like a little bit self-oriented for the time being and say like, this is what I want, this is what I want to do, will have to deal with frustrations, tensions, some kind of shadows that involve your siblings, your neighbors, your schedule, your community, your education, maybe some exams that you need to take. But it's like, it feels like, you are ready for like a new chapter, you're ready to study, you're ready to travel, but there are some logistical things that are holding you back. There are some scheduling conflicts. There are some maybe relationship issues where like other people are relying on you, they're expecting something from you, and to you it feels like they're holding you back, they're restricting you. And so these dates, the 3rd, 12th, and 23rd, and you can give it 3 days on each side as a rule, they can bring up some kind of passionate debates, like conflicts and, screaming matches, because both of these are very much like houses of communication. So you want to be careful, you want to be high-minded, you want to be patient, and try to move through these problems slowly, taking one step at a time. Do not kind of succumb to the provocation, right? I don't know if you can say it that way, but avoid being a victim of this transit. Try to be proactive. Mars enters Gemini, your 7th house of relationships and partnerships, on July 20th. Stays here until September 4th. Mars joins Jupiter. So Jupiter is here for a full year, right? Starting late May. And now Mars comes in, and Mars energizes you. If you're single, it might energize you to go out dating. If you're in a relationship, it might energize you to figure things out, to get married, to take action, to commit, right? If you are starting a business, Mars in Gemini could be like very much, offering you multiple ideas, kind of calling you to connect with different connections and helping you problem solve, helping you figure things out. But you want to be always careful with Mars and Gemini that you're moving in too many directions, you're trying to do too many things, you're trying to start a business and get married at the same time and become a partner at some other firm or whatever. So like, you really want to narrow your focus down. And because it's Mars in the house of relationships, you may also notice a little bit more of like restless energy. It is great energy to date and be active with your partner, but if you don't express it, it can also result in fighting with your partner, having like a little bit more maybe like verbal sparring matches. So try to once again express it through like finding a calling, finding a common sort of purpose and going for it. On July 21st, we get the full moon in Capricorn in your 2nd house. This is the 2nd full moon in Capricorn. The first one happened on June 21st, so exactly a month before this one. And here we're looking at your house of money and values. And like I said, when I was talking about the first full moon in Capricorn, something as all of this change is happening in your house of relationships, right? You're maybe moving in with your partner, you're maybe starting a business, you're maybe getting engaged, getting married, but like the full moon in Capricorn says, okay, but what about your resources? What about your money? Are you protected? Do you have enough set aside? Do you feel secure? Do you communicate what you want? So the full moon could be all about getting clear about your values, your goals, and communicating them, but also maybe making changes to your resources, paying off any debts, and kind of clearing space as you get ready for the next chapter in your life. On July 25th, Mercury enters Leo, it enters Virgo, your 10th house. And this suggests that your professional sector is about to speed up. So like the final week of July could bring a lot of focus to your career. Maybe you're talking about a promotion, you're talking about the next chapter, you're kind of gearing up for new beginnings. Let me know how this resonates. If you want to know more, book a reading on my website, anastasiadoesastrology.com. Over there, you can also find an option to subscribe and receive your monthly horoscope sent to you at the start of every month. And we have the cars passing us by. New York, you gotta love it. Okay, moving on to Capricorn rising. In June, you may have spent more time with children. You may have tapped into your creative passions. You may have dated more with Mars and Taurus, your 5th house. Planets in Gemini called attention to your work and encourage you to commit to something, to commit to taking better care of your health, commit to decluttering, commit to doing something that is like hard and heavy and sweaty, but it's good either for your health or it's good for your job. So could have introduced some kind of like serious projects. Like let's say you just moved, right? And all these planets in Gemini could have been like, okay, now you need to like unpack and you need to make this place your own and maybe you need to redecorate. So hard work, but worth it. And then Cancer season, planets entering Cancer from June 17th. Very much brought attention to your sector of romance, partnerships, business contracts, and encouraged you to join forces with other people, whether that means going out on more dates or starting professional partnerships. And then the full moon in Capricorn on June 21st brought attention to your house of identity, health, image, as you made changes to eat better, to work out more. Maybe you finished some kind of health issue, but maybe not quite yet, because there is the second full moon in Capricorn coming up in July. More on that in a minute. So in July, Mars is still in Taurus, your 5th house, until July 20th. This suggests more romantic action, right? Mars is all about desire, passion, sort of sexual energy. 5th house is the house of pleasure. So you have more drive to go after pleasure. And this would be different for different people. For some people, pleasure is about love and literal, sex. For others, it's about spending time with kids. For others, it's about dancing. For someone else, it could be about teaching or learning something new. Whatever it might be, you just have more, I think, you have more energy to pursue it. On July 15th, Mars conjoins Uranus for the first time since August 1st, 2022. What was that like? Late August, early July. Do you remember anything happening in your life? But Mars conjunct Uranus in the 5th house is a very it's a very revolutionary, very freedom-loving, very I will not stand this energy. I don't want to be put in a box. I don't want to be told what to do. So on one hand, it could be really great. It could be experimental. It could be eye-opening. You're trying something in the bedroom. You're getting in touch with your sexuality. You're making art in a brand new way. You're using technology, AI, science, futuristic means, and you're experiencing a breakthrough. Just stay safe, right? Because this can also go wrong. This could go to a point of light bulbs exploding. So you want to make sure that you're experimenting while in self-controlled or in controlled environments. And watch out for sort of acting rashly and cutting ties with people and just being you told me not to eat cereal in your bed. I'm not gonna stand it. Goodbye. So just like beware of that kind of reckless devil may care attitude. The focus on relationship continues as well, with planets in Cancer until July 22nd. Venus is here until July 11th and Sun until July 22nd. So you're working on relationships and partnership. There's also a new moon here on July 5th, and that is very much new beginnings, right? A new romantic relationship, a new creative partnership, a new contract you're signing. Venus and the Sun trine Saturn and Neptune in your third house, and that is connecting the house of partnership with the house of communication, writing, education, skills, hobbies, business. So it can very much feel like a business partnership, you know, some kind of, I don't know, like you have a travel blog and you reach out to a hotel and you agree sort of promote them for, I don't know, a discount or something. So it's a very, I think, like crucial time right now for connections and relationships and relating with others. On July 2nd, Mercury enters Leo, Venus follows on July 11th, Sun follows on July 22nd. And this highlights your house of debts, loans, taxes, and partnerships, and can offer you opportunities to work with other people, to rely on other people's resources, to pay off debts, to clear karma, and rethink your engagements with other people. It is Leo, so there might be sort of that desire to be recognized and seen and visible. And the planets entering Leo will immediately oppose Pluto. So I would highlight July 3rd, 12th, and 23rd as a more difficult days, because your kind of agenda when it comes to working with others might contradict your financial situation, what the money you have available, or you may run into conflicts of values where your values are at odds with values of your romantic partner or your creative business partner. So having to navigate these like stressful topics around resources are quite likely, right? Like maybe you ask your spouse to kind of, I don't know, take care of kids while you're in school, or you ask them for help with paying some student loan and they say no, and that results into like a very kind of frustrating conversation. Pluto will reveal what needs to be revealed, right? Like Pluto will show you what's important. So do not try to avoid it or escape it. Instead, look at it as a lesson and try to move through these difficult conversations with patience and stay high-minded. Mars enters Gemini, your sixth house of work, health, and service on July 20th, stays here until September 4th. Mars is in its joy in the sixth house, so it gives you the energy, the courage, the know-how, the problem-solving skills to tackle any project that comes your way. Just watch out for being a little bit too scattered, because that's like sometimes Mars in Gemini it's very clever, but I think it can like struggle with like finishing things, or, you know, going in too many directions, trying to do too many things. So try to narrow it down for yourself a little bit. And then on July 21st, we get the second full moon in Capricorn, your first house. It's bringing back the themes from late June. On June 21st, we had the full moon in Capricorn, number 1. And it brings change to your house of identity. And I think it's very much connected to everything that's happening in your relationship sector, everything that's happening around money, around resources, around your agreements with other people. Why are they doing this? I do not like this. Why are they being so loud? I may have to close the window, but maybe it will stop. So anyways, the full moon in Capricorn in the first house is all about changes to your physical body, better boundaries around taking care of yourself, better boundaries around speaking up your mind, and maybe, you know, an opportunity to like rethink who you are and how you present yourself and how your outside image either helps or hinders your partnership goals. And maybe it's time to make some changes, right? Like maybe it's time to present the world a new you, but don't do it because you want to fit with a partner better. Do it because you want to make the changes to your look, your style, your health, that are prompted by the desire to be a better version of yourself. Let me know how this resonates. If you want to know more, book a reading on my website, anastasiadoesastrology.com. You could also pick up a horoscope subscription on there to get monthly horoscopes sent to you at the start of every month. If you are an Aquarius rising, in June, Mars was in Taurus, your 4th house, and you may have taken more action that involved your home, your living situation. Maybe you've done more DIY projects, traveled to see your family, or just focused on building a home for yourself, looking at a new property to buy or something like that. We've had a whole bunch of planets in Gemini, your 5th house, so there was a lot of attention on pleasure and having a good time, dating, creating, spending time with children, spending time making children potentially. And then from June 17th onwards, Venus and Mercury and then the Sun entered Cancer, your 6th house, which also called your attention to your physical body, your physical health. Maybe you felt the need to make any doctor's appointments or appointments to rethink your health, to rethink your diet, and sort of make positive changes. And then the full moon in Capricorn on June 21st brought attention to your house of spirituality and mental health and encouraged you to have better boundaries around anything that is self-defeating, really, right? Like for some of you, maybe it's better boundaries around sleep, better boundaries around social media, better, more honest communication, just sort of like being more self-aware and figuring out what kind of hidden habits you have that are not serving you. In July, the focus on home and family continues with Mars and Taurus until July 20th. Mars conjoins Uranus on July 15th, 5 days before, 5 days after. And this is a once in 2 years conjunction. Last time it happened was August 1st, 2022. You can say late July, early August. And this brings attention to your house of home, family, and living situation. With Mars being here alone, you're already kind of energized to make improvements to your home, to spend time with family, to start a family. But Uranus makes things even more like restless and, excited and passionate. And Uranus is very much not willing to be contained, not willing to be defined, right? Like Uranus wants freedom. It's rebellious. It wants to experiment. So on the positive, this could suggest that you're punching a wall and destroying a wall and creating like a new room in your house, or you're deciding to build a pool, or you're bringing in technology and creating a game room in your home, or you're bringing in psychedelics to have like a family party with like someone who guides it and you connect with your family differently. So like this could be really good as long as it's controlled, right? As long as it's controlled and it's agreed upon by everybody. The negative situation could suggest that you're like saying whatever and like walking away. You're getting so frustrated. You're like hurting people in your life. You're hurting your family members. You're sort of freaking out and having a big fight because like somebody said something wrong. So you want to be patient. You want to try to, invite change as much as possible versus wait for it to like slap you on your head and like slam you in the wall. So just beware of that tendency to act like erratically and to maybe fight with family and to have some sort of face drama. The focus on your health continues until July 22nd with Venus and the Sun in Cancer. Venus leaves on the 11th, but Sun is here until July 22nd. And this suggests, I think, that you're like maybe, there's also a new moon here on July 5th. So it suggests there's new beginnings in terms of work. You're maybe finding a new job. You're maybe getting a promotion because Venus and the Sun both trine Saturn in the 2nd house. And that could suggest that like, you're getting some kind of financial reward maybe. Maybe it's also a payment you've been waiting for a long time. Maybe it's some kind of like investment you've been ready to make that you're now making, but some kind of connection between your work and your financial sector. Maybe you're getting supported by like, a family member or someone in your life just being like, you got this. There might also be transformations around health, new diets. You're becoming more aware of what you're eating, right? Maybe a new exercise routine, maybe a new pet as well, because like the trine to Saturn in the second house can also suggest that you're spending money on your well-being, or you're spending money on a new furry companion potentially. On July 2nd, Mercury enters Leo, your 7th house. Venus follows on the 11th and Sun follows on the 22nd. This brings attention to relationships and partnerships. And since Mercury comes in first, it suggests more conversations with your significant other. Maybe you're working through some kind of issue. Maybe you're discussing something important. It could also, if you're single, it could suggest a faster turnaround romantically. Like all of a sudden you're starting to go out to a bunch of dates, right? Or you're dating someone mercurial, someone who is a Virgo or a Gemini, or someone who's like a writer, or they talk a lot, travel a lot. Venus being here between 11th of June and August 4th can help you find accord and peace in relationships, and the Sun being here, it can also energize you to partner up, to start kind of important relationships, to get along, to maybe spend time with your partner. It's not all easy. On July 3rd, 12th, and 23rd, give it 3 days on each side, Mercury, Venus, and the Sun will all oppose Pluto in your first house. So this will bring out of the underground into the open any tensions between you, your goals, your kind of inner drive and ambition and desires, and your partner, or the needs of your partnership, or something that your partner is going through. So you will have to deal with a little bit of drama potentially between like what you want and what you're trying to accomplish and what other people want, and specifically maybe your romantic partner or your business partner, and just like have to navigate, have to figure out how to have that balance. But it could, there could be some power struggles, there could be some conflicts, and I would urge you that you move through them with patience, that you don't shy away from them, you don't hide from them, but you stay high-minded and you figure out, what's going on, and sort of find ways to transform the challenging energies. On July 20th, Mars enters Gemini, your 5th house of romance, pleasure, children. Stays here until September 4th. And this suggests that you are becoming more kind of driven to have fun. You're becoming more driven to go out and date. Like if you're single, maybe you're driven to casually date and explore, and you're opening yourself up to, seeing what's out there. It could also be the time when you're feeling driven to start creative projects, to become a parent, to hang out with kids, or connect with your inner child. Just watch out the usual kind of Gemini energy of like scattering yourself too much and moving into too many directions. Like you want to focus yourself on like one creative project at a time, maybe one partner at a time, because otherwise you might kind of overload and overwhelm yourself. And then on July 21st, we get the second and final full moon in Capricorn, your 12th house. This is part 2. The first full moon happened on June 21st. And so here we're looking at your mental health, at your spirituality, at your well-being. I do like that this full moon trines Neptune in the second house. So I think there is an energy of kind of like feeling good about yourself, maybe completing some kind of old chapter, releasing outdated relationships, releasing fears and wounds from the past, sort of healing. It can also suggest that you're exploring interests and passions that are maybe less common, right? Like with the full moon in the 12th house, there may be a spiritual calling, a healing sort of work that you feel called to do. And so with this full moon, you're gathering energy and you're having enough sort of courage to speak up about it and to express it and address it and present it to the world, but also very much an opportunity to like put the finishing touches and release any self-defeating tendencies and implement better boundaries around your mental health. On July 21st, Mercury enters Virgo, your 8th house, and that suggests that your attention goes towards debts, loans, taxes, and questions of fairness. And maybe, if you've been talking to someone or talking to your partner with Mercury entering Virgo, you will also have a lot more courage to talk about things that are a little bit uncomfortable, that people normally try not to talk about, avoid talking about, or, you know, sort of tiptoe around. Let me know how this resonates. If you want to know more, book a reading on my website, anastasiadoesastrology.com. I do natal, predictive, and relationship readings. You can also pick up a horoscope subscription and receive monthly horoscopes sent to you at the start of every month, or get a VIP subscription where we get a conversation at the start, or like we talk every month about your month coming up. Now, if you are the lovely Pisces rising, in June, you have studied, you have explored your hobbies and interests, you maybe gone on more short trips, maybe traveled around more in your neighborhood with Mars and Taurus. You may have spent a lot more time with family or worked on improving your living situation, expanding your home somehow with the Sun, Mercury, Venus, and Jupiter in Gemini, your 4th house. And then Venus and Mercury entering Cancer, your 5th house, on June 17th, and Sun following on June 20th, brought attention to your house of romance, pleasure, and children. And maybe you felt a pull to go out, to have fun, to dance, to go on dates, and, you know, just kind of like enjoy life as much as you can. Of course, it's Cancer, so it's not the most like, you know, in your face, like I'm gonna make things happen, but still it's a lot more like sort of subtle, good at manifesting. By the way, highly recommend for you guys my Moon in Cancer candle or almond moon candle. Both of these capture Moon in Cancer, which is great for your creativity, for inspiration, and also just for like chill and ease and relaxation. Could be lovely. In July, the focus on community, skills, hobbies, writing, learning, siblings, neighbors, communication continues. Mars is still in Taurus until July 20th. Mars conjoins Uranus on July 15th. Give it 5 days before, 5 days after. This gives you the energy to follow your interests, to maybe speak about things that you're passionate about, to break away from anything that is restrictive. Ultimately, Mars and Uranus is a very rare conjunction. We get one every 2 years. Last time we had one was August 1st, 2022. What was happening in your life around, you know, late July, early August 2022, if you remember? Let me know down there. But Mars Uranus in the 3rd house is just like no BS attitude, right? Like you are, on one hand, it's like it could be really positive because it's like eye-opening, experimental. If you really wanted to do something for a while, you're ready. If you wanted to write about something, you're gonna do it. If you wanted to use AI to help you achieve something, you're gonna do it, right? Like it's very much, how can I differentiate myself? How can I unapologetically explore these passions I have? On the negative, because it's such a reckless, impatient energy, you can get yourself, you can stub your toe, you can rush places, you can run somewhere, or like make sort of a rash decision and get into an accident. So definitely be careful. I'm sure most people will be fine, but like you want to, because it's such a rare energy that has that like unrestricted, I'm gonna do things I want to do, you want to kind of try to be a bit more proactive about it, I guess, and try to experiment in a controlled environment, right? But yeah, like I can also see this as like, you know, difficult conversations, feeling fed up with your schedule, with your siblings or neighbors, just telling people how you feel. And this could be great and important and eye-opening, but once again, maybe try to take a few breaths before you do it. The focus on your house of romance, pleasure, and children continues until July 22nd. Venus is here in her house of joy until July 11th, and the Sun is here until July 22nd. So this is beautiful for dating. This is beautiful for having fun. You might sort of feel like a really strong pull to just do whatever makes you happy. And this is great, but watch out that you're not like sacrificing your health in the process, right? Because having strong focus on the 5th house can also cause you to overindulge, and then that results in a need to go see a doctor. But, and you know, with Leo season coming up, you might be seeing doctors, you might be handling your health and addressing sort of health-related, diet-related matters. So be ready. Know that Leo season is right around the corner. and Leo season, actually planets start to enter Leo very early in July. So, but before that, you know, Cancer, Sun is in Cancer until July 22nd. Like I said, we get the new moon in Cancer on July 5th. There's also planets in Cancer, also trine Saturn in your first house. So I see this as like a beautiful time for birthing something, for birthing a new creative passion, a new relationship, a child, getting pregnant, connecting with your child, connecting with your inner child, and like expressing yourself, right? Like expressing yourself in a very mature way. I definitely know at least one Pisces rising. That's not my boyfriend, but I know at least one Pisces rising whose wife is pregnant right now. So I'm sure there's like a lot potentially that can be going on with this fifth house transit. But pregnancy could be just so many things, right? Like an exciting project, or maybe something you're doing with your child, like you're starting, you're building like, I don't know, what am I thinking about? Like a birdhouse in the yard, and you and your child are connecting over it or something like that. So it could be just the time of like having a good time and connecting with like pleasure and joy in your life. So speaking of health, that's another place of focus this month. Mercury enters Leo on July 2nd, stays here until July 25th. Venus enters Leo on July 11th, and Sun enters Leo on July 22nd. So this brings attention to work, health, service. Improving your work life, maybe hanging out with your colleagues more, but also, you know, making doctor's appointments, focusing on your diet, addressing any sort of challenges at work that you haven't addressed, making any improvements to your schedule, to your everyday life, but also just like a lot of focus on making a difference, maybe taking on some kind of challenging projects, like building something in your home, right? Or working on a project, or like once again working on your health, on your exercise routine. You gotta be careful around July 3rd, 12th, and 23rd, as Mercury, Venus, and the Sun oppose Pluto in your 12th house, and this can bring up some type of like self-defeating tendencies to your awareness. It can bring up tensions between your physical health and your mental health. Like, you know, you're so focused on your physical health, but you forget that thinking happy thoughts or not being hard on yourself is a very crucial element. And so as you're building this like new body for yourself, a new version of yourself, the opposition to Pluto intensifies your mental kind of load and makes you realize that, oh, maybe I should also start meditating. Maybe I should figure out some other ways to take care of myself. So the opposition between Mercury, Venus, and Leo, Sun could definitely highlight where there is a lack of balance in your life, and where do you perhaps need to focus on your mental health in order to have a better work-life flow. Mars enters Gemini, your fourth house of home, family, and living situation on July 20th, stays here until September 4th. It will be hanging out with Jupiter, so it can energize you. You know, Jupiter is here for a full year, suggesting expansion of your living situation, suggesting expansion of your family. So Mars being here can very much like energize you to be proactive, right? It's funny because, like, you know, my boyfriend is a Pisces rising, and it's his parents' 50th wedding anniversary. So in August, we're going to like a family gathering. So how literal, right? Like Mars will be in the fourth house. Mars is about action. So taking action to go see family, right? Taking action for some of you maybe to sell your home, buy another home. Taking action to improve the home. Of course, watch out for Mars resulting in fighting with family too, and Mars and Gemini being like too scattered, trying to do too many things at the same time, trying to see your family but then also your partner's family, and like you want to try to narrow it down as much as you can. On July 21st, we get the full moon in Capricorn, your 11th house. This is the second full moon in Capricorn. The first one occurred on June 21st. And this one trines Neptune harmoniously, actually no, sextiles Neptune in your first house. So it has a bit of like soft, forgiving, gentle energy, but it still highlights your house of friendships, networks, hopes, and dreams. and could represent some kind of transformation of friendships, maybe completion of a group project, you know, completion of a wish. Maybe you get your wish fulfilled. But also because it's Capricorn, I think there is like very much a need to have good boundaries around your relationships, around your social engagements. Maybe like, you know, some of them will need to be released and some of them will need to be recommitted to. So like, what are you dreaming about? Who are you hanging out with? How are they good for you? Are they not good for you? And if they're not, how can you change things, right? And finally, on July 25th, Mercury enters Virgo, which brings a lot of focus to your 7th house of relationships. And Mercury will soon go retrograde there. We'll talk more about that in August. But it's definitely the time of faster action in relationships. Maybe your partner going through some kind of important period in their life because it's the ruler of the 7th house coming to the 7th house. But like a lot of focus on relationships. Possibly new beginnings if you're looking for new beginnings there. And this is it. Let me know how this resonates. If you want to know more about the month to come, become a subscriber on my website to receive monthly horoscopes emailed to you at the start of every month. You can also become a VIP subscriber to receive monthly consultations. Those are live and recorded for your reference. You can also visit my website, anastasiadoesastrology.com, to get a candle or to book a reading, to receive natal guidance, predictive reading, or relationship guidance. Thank you for being here. Thank you for watching. I always feel like a superhero because these videos like take 3 hours to film, and so by the time I'm done, I feel like I've ran a marathon. So thank you for being here. If you made it all the way until the end, I appreciate you. If you haven't subscribed yet, please do. And I will talk to you soon. Bye.